aptitude hiring test is a pre-employment assessment test which is used by companies to determine how well candidate is prepared to succeed on the job. Aptitude test is an umbrella term because it tests a variety of different skills possessed by candidate. Typical skills tested as part of aptitude tests are logical reasoning skills, math reasoning, numerical reasoning, diagramming reasoning, and situational judgment. Aptitude test is typically used as part of stage 3 of job search process, when employer completes job screening of potential candidates. This is why we put together this quick video to share with you most typical questions, answers, solutions, and explanations to the questions we see on aptitude test. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at the pattern question, which is frequently used as part of employment assessment test. Determine the next number in pattern, and you have pattern of 5 numbers, 4 of them presented on the screen, and 1 is something you need to determine. 1, 4, 9, 16. Do you know what the next number in this pattern might be? You have 4 different choices. Choice A, 21. Choice B, 23. Choice C, 25. And choice D, 26. Let's see how we can get to the correct answer together. To answer the pattern question, you need to determine the formula. In our case, the formula is the number in the pattern squared. So for example, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and the next number in pattern would be 5. 5 squared would be 25. So the correct answer here is choice C. Let's recap. The best way to answer pattern questions is to identify the pattern first, and in our case, the pattern could be represented by the formula that the number is counted by number count squared. So calculating the next number is represented right here. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. So the correct answer is choice C, 25. Hopefully you've nailed this question. In addition to showing you questions and answers from the real test, I also have questions for you to answer. Most of the videos on this channel have practice questions for you to answer. Please make sure to post your answers in the comment section of the video. This will allow me to validate your answer and give you the grade. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Let's take a look at the tricky question you might often see as part of employment assessment test. John spent 30% of his earnings last month on rent and 40% less than what he spent on rent to purchase a new dishwasher. What percent of last month's earnings did John have left over? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 30%. Choice B, 40%. Choice C, 52%. And choice D, 70%. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see how we can calculate correct answer together. As you might see here, the key would be to calculate the cost of dishwasher. And calculation of cost of dishwasher is based on a calculation of the rent. If you look at the initial problem, the earnings could be represented as 100%. Rent would be 30%. If you subtract rent from earnings, the leftovers will be 70%. But in addition to rent, John also purchased a dishwasher, which is 40% less than he spent on rent. 40% less means 1 minus 0.4, which is represented by 0.6. So to calculate cost of dishwasher, we would need to multiply 30% by 0.6, which would be an equivalent of 18%. Next step would be to calculate how much John spent on rent and dishwasher. And this could be calculated by adding up 30 plus 18, which would be an equivalent of 48%. And to calculate what was actually left, we need to subtract 48 from 100, which would be an equivalent of 52. So John has left over 52% of his last month's earnings after he paid for rent and paid for the dishwasher. So the correct answer is choice C. Hopefully you've nailed this question. And now here's the question for you to try. If you know the answer, please make sure to post it in the comment section of this video, and I'll respond with my feedback. Jack's phone provider charges him $30 for the first 45 minutes of call each month, plus 75 cents for every additional full minute of calling after that. If Jack's total bill last month was $41.25, approximately how many minutes did he spend calling? And you have 4 different choices. Choice A, 53, choice B, 57, choice C, 59, and choice D, 60. If you know the answer, please post it in the comment section of this video. Thanks for participating. Let's look at the tricky question you might frequently see as part of employment assessment test. Determine the missing number in the pattern. You have 4 numbers presented, and you need to determine number 5. The numbers you have presented are 1, 8, 22, 50, and you need to determine the next number out of 4 possible choices. Choice A, 96, choice B, 106, choice C, 116, and choice D, 126. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see how we can get to the correct solution together. As you might be well aware, behind any pattern number there is a formula. For the next number, we will use NN in the formula, and for the previous numbers, we will use shortcut PN. So next number in the formula would be previous number plus 6 plus previous number again, which means that the next number in the formula could be represented previous number multiplied by 2 plus 6. So let's calculate the following numbers. 1 plus 6 plus 1 equals 8. And this is how number 8 was calculated. 8 plus 8 equals 16, plus 6 would be 22. 22 plus 22 equals 44, and plus 6 would be 50. So the next number in the pattern would be 2 multiplied by 50, which would be 100 plus 6, which would be an equivalent of 106. So the correct answer is B. Hopefully you've nailed this question. And now here's the question for you to try. If you know the answer, please make sure to post it in the comment section of this video. Determine the next number in this sequence. 11, 19, 16, 19, 21, 19. So what is the next number? Choice A, 24. Choice B, 26. Choice C, 37. Choice D, 42. If you know the answer, please make sure to post it in the comments, and I'll give you my feedback. Thank you for participating. Now let's look at the very complex question which you see a lot during logical reasoning tests, psychometric tests, and the numerical reasoning tests. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And what we have here, we have 3 by 3 matrix with 8 shapes populated, and 1 shape is missing. There are 4 choices as usual, but in order for you to calculate the right shape, you need to determine the pattern. And in fact, there are 2 patterns here on this screen. Can you figure it out? Do you know what the right answer is? As I mentioned, there are 2 patterns here. One is there is a pattern for the shape. Which shape would you choose? And second pattern is the pattern for the lines. And where is the right location for the line itself? Now let's go through the detection of the shape pattern first. So the shape pattern is triangle, square, and then the circle, right? So triangle, square, and the next one would be the circle. So we have a circle, that's the right value here, but all of this are the circles. So this was helpful, but not by much. But it just tells us that we are detecting the first pattern. And here, if you want to confirm, we have square, circle, and then triangle. Now, the most important part here is to determine on which side of the shape the lines should be located. And what we have here, we have 4 locations, as you can see in the answer. 1 location on the top, right, left, and bottom. So how would you know where's the right location for the circle shape? So let's look closely here and let's detect the pattern here for the line location. The line location starts with the bottom, right, and then top. So you see it's going counterclockwise. So if you imagine the clock with the clockwise rotation, then this would be counterclockwise. And let's see if we are correct and we have a pattern here. So we have bottom, right, top. Then we have left, bottom, so that still matches the counterclockwise pattern. And then we have left, bottom, right. So I think the missing shape here would be the one before the left, which would be on the top. So the right answer in this case would be A, because here we have a circle which matches the circle's pattern, and then we have lines located at the top. Let's verify to confirm that. And as you can see, the correct answer is A. So let's recap. There are two patterns you need to detect in this assignment. Patterns for the shapes and pattern for the line location. Shapes are displayed in the particular order. Triangle, square, circle, that's really the pattern for the shapes. And pattern for lines are in a counterclockwise order. So correct answer is A. Hopefully you've got this one right. You will see a lot of these types of questions in the assessment test. Let me give you a tip on how to plan your time during the test. As you're probably well aware, most of the assessment tests are timed. One thing you can do to increase your chances of passing the test is to calculate how much time would you have per question. For example, if you have 50 questions that you need to complete in 60 minutes, you can do a quick math in your head. By dividing 60 by 50, it will give you the answers that you need about 1.2 minutes per question, which is an equivalent of 72 seconds per question. Having this information handy will tell you how much time you need to allocate per each question. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Here's the question you might frequently get as part of employment assessment test. The sum of two fathers' age is 80. The sum of two sons' age is 40. The sum of the father's and the son's age is 60. How old are each of three mentioned people? And you have three groups of people. Choice A, 60, 20, 10. Choice B, 55, 25, 10. Choice C, 50, 30, 10. And choice D, 55, 25, and 15. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see if we can get to the correct answer together. Let's first understand the detailed scenario. We have a multi-generation family here, and the three people mentioned are a grandfather, who is also a father. We'll call him a G for simplicity in the calculations. We also have a son who is also a father, and we have a son who is also a grandson. We'll call father an F and grandson as S. Another key consideration here is that each person is in calculations twice, which means if we add up pairs of values, we will get the twice of the summary age of all people. To calculate sum of all ages twice, we add all three pairs, which is 80 plus 40 plus 60, and we get to the value of 180. To get actual age, we need to divide 180 by 2, and the calculated value is 90, which means that sum of grandfather plus father plus grandson ages is 90. Now, as we have a sum age for all three people, we can calculate individual values because we already have ages for each pair. The age of grandson is 10, which is calculated as 90 minus 80. The age of father is 30, which is calculated as 90 minus 60. And the age of grandfather is 50, which is calculated as 90 minus 40. So the correct answer is C, 50, 30, and 10. It seems like a tricky problem, but together we can solve it. So hopefully you've got an idea how to solve these types of problems on the test. If you're looking for solutions to other problems you might frequently see on the test, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description of this video. Let's look at the very tricky question, which is often used as part of advanced tests. There are 3 times as many black marbles in a bag as red marbles, with the 100 total. What would be the probability of taking black marble out of the bag and then choosing another black marble if the number of red marbles was doubled? And you have 5 different choices: 203 301th, 111th 310th, 37 62s, 925th, or 3/5. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see if we can get to the correct solution together. Let's first calculate the original number of marbles. We have 100 total marbles, and 1/4 of them is red, and 3/4 of them is black, because there are 3 times as many blacks as there are red marbles. 1/4 of 100 is 25, and 3/4 of 100 is 75. And after we double red marbles, we will get 50 red marbles and 75 black marbles, with the total number of marbles would be 125. Let's calculate the probability of taking out a black marble for the first time. We do it by dividing 75 to 125. And after simplifying the fraction, we get to the value of 3/5, as well as for the fact that there is a fewer total number of marbles left in the bag. Based on the calculations that we do in the next step, we get to the value of 74 black marbles left in a bag out of 124 total marbles. To calculate the value of probability of taking out a black marble for the second time, we need to multiply the first probability of 3/5 by the probability of taking black marble for the second time, which would be an equivalent of the fraction 74 divided by 124. After we complete the initial calculations, we get to the value of 222/620th. After simplifying this value, we get to the final probability of 111/310th. So the correct choice here is choice B, 111/310th. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Let's look at one tricky problem you might frequently see on the test. The pitcher has 3 times more water than the coffee maker, while the coffee maker has 12 cups less water than the pitcher. How many cups of water are in the pitcher? You have 4 choices: 12, 18, 20, and 24. Do you think you know the answer? To solve this challenge, let's use formulas, and we will have P for pitcher and C for coffee maker. So the first statement is that the pitcher has 3 times more water than the coffee maker would be equivalent of the formula P equals 3 multiplied by C. The statement that the coffee maker has 12 cups less water than the pitcher would be an equivalent of C equals P minus 12. Let's put both of these formulas together and convert it into the formula with only one variable. So 3 multiplied by C is an equivalent of C plus 12. So the total number of cups in the coffee maker can be calculated as 12 divided by 2, which is an equivalent of 6. Coffee maker has 6 cups of water, and the pitcher has 12 plus 6, 18 cups of water. Question for you: do you know how to simplify it and eliminate one step in the calculations? I'll give you a hint. I calculated the value for coffee maker, which added one extra step. You can use formula to calculate the value for the pitcher. Do you know how to do it? Can you post your answer in the comment section of this video? I'll take a look and give you the feedback. Thanks for participating. Let's look at the very interesting, but at the same time tricky and captivating question that you might frequently see as part of employment assessment test. How many 2-digit numbers between 1 and 100 with both digits even? And you have 4 choices: 50, 48, 25, and 20. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see if we can get to the correct answer together. You can solve this challenge in 2 different ways. The first way is probably the easiest, is to go through all the numbers between 1 and 100 and only get the ones that match the criteria. Because we're only looking for 2-digit numbers, only numbers that start with 2, 4, 6, or 8 will match the criteria. Then you look at the second digit, which could be 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So in the 20s, you will have numbers 20, 22, 24, 26, or 28. 5 numbers. Very similar set of numbers in the 40s, and very similar in the 60s and 80s as well. Another way to solve this challenge would be through math, which would be more helpful, especially if you're dealing with the larger numbers that could be hard to put into this grid on a timely basis. To do it using the math principles, we need to calculate the possibilities for the first numbers, which could be 2, 4, 6, or 8. And the total count of possibilities is 4. The second number values could be 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, and there are 5 possibilities for the second number. So the total number of possibilities would be a result of multiplication of 4 by 5, which would be an equivalent of 20. So the correct choice is D. Hopefully you understand this question and will know how to solve it if you get similar question as part of employment assessment test. Let's look at the tricky question frequently asked on the test, which tests your knowledge of money management and fractions. What fraction of the initial amount was left in N's account after paying 1/6 of the rent, then 2/5 of the remainder to the credit card company, and $450 for the new TV? The initial amount in her bank account was $2,400. and you're presented with 4 choices: 29th to 40th, 11/15th, 7/48th, 5/16th, and 1/4. Do you think you know the answer, or do you know how to calculate it? Let's see if we can get to the correct answer together. Calculations involved need to be done in multiple steps. In step 1, we need to calculate the amount and paid for the rent, which is calculated as original amount $2,400 multiplied by 1/6, and is an equivalent of $400. In step 2, we need to calculate the balance after Ann actually paid for the rent. We will calculate it by subtracting $400 from $2,400, and the amount left would be $2,000. In the next step, we need to calculate the amount paid to the credit card, which is calculated as $2,000 multiplied by 2/5, and is an equivalent of $800. After both rent and credit card payment have been made, the amount left in the bank is $1,200, which is calculated as $2,000 minus $800. And the last purchase Ann made is a TV, and she paid for it $450. The amount left in the bank after Ann paid for TV is $750. To calculate the fraction after Ann made all the payments, we need to divide $750 by $2,400. Then we divide both amounts in the fraction by 10, getting to 75th 240. Then we divide it by 3, getting down to 25th 80th. And then we optimize it down to 5/16 by dividing both components by 5. So the correct answer is D, 5/16. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Let's look at the simple question, which tests your knowledge of logical reasoning and patterns. Bob is using a new set of golf clubs. With an 8-iron club, the ball travels an average distance of 100 yards. With a 7-iron, 108 yards. With a 6-iron club, 114 yards. How far will the ball go if Bob uses a 5-iron club? And you have 4 choices: 120 yards, 119, 118, or 117. Do you think you know the correct answer? Let's see if we can nail this question and get to the correct answer together. When you read through the question carefully, you see the pattern here. For every iron reduced, the ball travels for longer distance. For example, 8-iron club is 100 yards, 7 is 108, and then 6-iron is 108 plus 6, which is 114. So the first increment was by 8, and the second increment was by 6, which is 8 minus 2. So we can reasonably conclude that with each club with a lower number, the ball travels farther by the distance between the number of the previous 2 clubs minus 2 yards. So the next value would be 114 minus 108, which is 6, minus 2, which is 4 yards, and 114 plus 4 is equals 118. So the correct answer is C, 118 yards. Hopefully you've nailed this question. A lot of people are interested in asking me, how can I help others? One of the ways you can help is by sharing the latest questions you see on the interview and assessment test. Please share the questions you've encountered as part of the test in the comment section of this video. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of working with shapes, patterns, and numbers. Select an arrow which logically belongs in the rectangle with the question mark. Here on the screen, you see 3 by 3 box. Each row of the box and each column of the box has arrows. One arrow is missing. Which arrow do you think is missing? The key here is to identify the pattern. Each row and each column contains unique arrows. In the first row, we have arrow pointing to the right, upper right, and then to the upper left. Then upper left, right, and upper right. So here we have upper right, and then we have arrow pointing to the upper left, and what's missing is the arrow pointing to the right. And that would be the right answer. And the arrow pointing to the right would be choice A. And this is the explanation. So each row has 3 arrows. All 3 arrows are directed to 3 directions, and they are unique. According to the pattern, correct answer is A, because arrow which is directed to the right is missing in the 3rd row. Hopefully you got this one right. Let's look at the simple question, which a lot of people often get wrong. The younger brother received 20 baseball cards on his birthday from his older brother. Now, both brothers have the same number of baseball cards, totaling to 100 cards. How many cards did each brother have initially? And you have 4 choices. Older 50, younger 50. Choice B, 55 and 45. Choice C, older brother 60, younger brother 40. And choice D, older brother 70 and younger brother 30. Do you think you know the answer? Let's see if we can get to the correct solution together. The first step to solve this challenge is to calculate how many cards both brothers have after the birthday. Since both brothers have the same number of baseball cards, totaling of 100 cards, then each brother has a half of it, which is 50, which is calculated by 100 divided by 2. So initially, the older brother had 50 plus 20, 70 cards, and the younger brother had 50 minus 20, 30 cards. So the correct choice here is D, older brother 70 cards and younger brother 30. I hope you nailed this question and know how to solve similar problems on the test. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you know somebody who is looking for the job and will benefit from this video, can you please share this video with them? This is going to help them to get ready for the job interview and assessment test and help them get hired for their dream job. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And now let's continue and get you ready for the job interview and assessment test. A lot of times you might be tested on how well you do mental math in your head without the calculator. We're looking at this type of question. How many of insurance bonds are roughly British, considering there are 990,500,000 bonds globally and only 5% were issued in England? And we have 4 choices. Choice A, 4,995,000. Choice B, 49,550,000. Choice C, 50 million. And choice D, 495,250,000. Do you think you know the correct answer? Let's see if we can nail this question together. The trick here is that we need to deal with large numbers in your head without the calculator to do the math. The closest match to 990 million is 1 billion, and 5% of 1 billion is 50 million. So only choices B, 49 million, and 50 million could be considered for the answer, because choice A represents approximately 5% of 100 million, not 1 billion, and choice D represents 5% of much larger number. Now, as we eliminated choice A and D, we can reasonably conclude that choice B is the closest, because choice B much better represents 5% of the source number, 990,500,000. Let's recap. The total number of insurance bonds is 990,500,000. If we can do the math on the calculator, we can calculate that the exact number of British bonds is 49,525,000. The trick here is how you would round up the number if you do have the calculator. And the second trick is which numbers would you pick if you do this as a mental math without the calculator. Regardless, the correct choice is B, 49,550,000. Hopefully you've nailed this question. Let's look at the tricky question, which involves understanding of some fundamentals and concepts of insurance. According to the policy, the insurance company pays 60% in the case of the theft and 50% in the case of the water damage. How much will a client pay to replace his cell phone worth $1,100 if it was stolen with a $50 deductible? We are presented with 4 different choices: $470, $550, $610, or $630. Do you think you know the answer, or do you know how to calculate it? Let's see if we can get to the correct answer together. To calculate the insurance payment, first we need to subtract the deductible, which is $50. After subtracting 50 from 1,110, we get to the amount $1,050. Insurance company pays 60% of this amount, which is calculated by $1,050 multiplied by 0.6, and the amount insurance company pays is $630. The client would pay the deductible in the amount of $50, and whatever is left after the insurance payment, which is $1,050 minus $630, and the amount client will pay is $470. So the correct answer is A, $470. Hopefully you've nailed this question. A lot of people asking me, how can I help on this channel? One of the best ways to help is to answer questions other people are asking. If you know the answer to the question posted in the comment section of this video, please share your answer in the comments as well. And now let's continue and get you ready for the interview and assessment test. Here is the tricky question, which a lot of candidates answer incorrectly because they do not spend enough time and miss some of the important combination in the fraction. Solve x from this equation, and you have a formula where you need to calculate the value x. You also have 4 different choices. Please pause the video and see if you can calculate the correct answer here. And now let's go and calculate the correct answer together. The tricky part in this question is that you need to divide 3 by 1/3, which is an equivalent of 9. And a lot of people, when they do calculation, instead multiply 3 by 1/3 and get to the number 1. This calculation is an equivalent of multiplying 3 by 3, which is obviously an equivalent of 9. When you proceed with adds and subtracts, you get to the number 1. So the correct choice here is choice A. Hopefully you've nailed this question, but in case you need more questions from the real tests, make sure to check out my ebook in the description of this video. A lot of people ask me, how can I help? One of the best ways to help others on this channel is to help answer their questions. If you see questions on this channel that you know the answer to, please make sure to post your answer. This way, you will help another person to get hired. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. And now, let's look at the question which confused tons of people during the test. How many squares are in this picture? And you have choices of 16, 29, 30, and 32. Which one do you think is right? The confusion part of this question comes with the fact that squares are not only the small squares that's shown in the picture. So if you do only small squares, the answer would be 16. But you can have this area as a square, you can have this area as a square, and large area is also a square. So once you calculate all of those, you will get to the correct answer. And the correct answer is 30, because there are 16 small squares, 9 squares which would be created using 4 small squares, 4 squares which can be created using 9 small squares, and 1 big square. So that when we come out with the answer 30. So you kind of have to know how to calculate it a little bit, but this question we see a lot as part of numerical reasoning tests and psychometric tests. So I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared. So here is the tricky question, which is frequently used as part of logical reasoning tests and numerical reasoning tests. The day after tomorrow is 4 days before Monday. What day is it today? And you have 4 choices: Sunday, Monday, Friday, and Saturday. And the reason I'm laughing is because this tells me that you always should come to those types of tests after a very good night's sleep and try to schedule them in the morning. That's the best advice I can give you. Because sometimes if you come to this type of test tired, you wouldn't even understand what they're asking you to do. So, do you have an idea how to answer this? Let's take a look at the answer. Again, most of the time you have to use reverse method to get to the right answer. And the reverse method tells us that 4 days before Monday is Thursday, and day before Thursday is Tuesday. If tomorrow is Tuesday, today is Monday. So the correct answer is B, Monday. Hopefully you've got this one right. Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment test faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.